Gurave Gaura Chandra Radhikaya Tadave Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tada Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaibhacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. My Dhanavat Pranam devotees. So this is a very quick video to elaborate on a discussion I had just very briefly this morning on the messenger with a disciple of my Gurudev. And the disciple was giving some instruction and some katha regarding the absolute necessity for chanting 1 lakh of Harinam. And of course, not only my Guru Parapadma, but Srila Bhakti Saraswati Thakur, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, and Mahaprabhu himself has mentioned the importance of chanting at least 1 lakh of Harinam. So the discussion here is not about either the order of our Guru Parampara, it is not about the importance of Nam Bhajan or the Agyaya order of Gurudev to chant 1 lakh of Harinam. It is about a response that I gave regarding the importance of not revealing one's bhajan seva, and this also being an order of our Gurudev. It's mentioned in Hari Bhakti Vilas that one should neither reveal one's Ishtadev nor one's Gurudev, the name of one's Gurudev, or one's Guru-given mantra, or one's japa. So these 4 things, they should be gupt. Gupt means confidential. Of course, in the association of high class of Vaishnavas for progress in bhajan seva, one may reveal details of bhajan for 1 confirmation and 2 further instructions in bhajan or bhajan siksha. But in general, if we are giving katha of Harinam, it may be mentioned that great stalwart devotees chanted 1, 2, 3, 4 lakhs of Harinam, and we may speak in aspirational terms of our own desire to chant 1, 2, 3, or 4 lakhs of Harinam. But my sort of warning is not the right word. My statement of cushioning in this regard was that our Srila Guru Parapadma's statement about not revealing one's bhajan because it is like camphor. And if you know camphor, if you expose it to the environment, it evaporates. So in the same way, the exposure of our bhajan to persons that are not in a position to give bhajan siksha, etc., etc., the exposing of our bhajan, how we chant our mantras, how we serve Harinam, how we serve Thakurji, etc., etc., right? Giving darshan is one thing. If you have Thakurji, you give darshan, your Thakurji is one thing. But what moods and methods of service you're doing, right? It should be known to most Vaishnavas if they're following the Padati, etc., etc. But other things also, what stav and stutis you're saying, all these things, it is part of your internal bhajan process, which should be part of your Hridoya Mandir, means your heart temple. And the exposing of these things evaporate in the example of camphor is one idea that our Guru Parapadma gave. Means that it begins to wither away, but the question will be why? What is it in the environment that causes the evaporation of the camphor? What is it in the environment that could cause evaporation to our bhajan sadhan? In the environment, there are many persons who it is in our conditional life. So this is not something that you're pointing out to particular people, but in the very nature of the Bada Jiva is the principle of ahamkar. And in the principle of ahamkar is also matsarya. Matsarya means an envy. So envy is not always envy with malice, but there's envy based on ahamkar, or envy based on conditioned life. So by producing your bhajan in a public space or revealing it to persons where there's not an intention to increase bhajan by getting bhajan siksha and verification of your status in bhajan, you expose it to the matsarya, the not inadvertent, but the conditional nature of matsarya. And therefore, it can be eaten up by the non-malicious envy of others. And also, it can be eaten up by those things which attack bhajan. And one of the most subtle things that attacks bhajan is called pratishta ash. Pratishta ash means the desire for name and fame. So I revealed I'm chanting 1, 2, 3, 4 lakhs of Harinam each day. And by putting that statement out, you understand? Then immediately the subtle element of ahamkara jumps into that space which you created by the term I am chanting 1, 2, 3, 4 lakhs of Harinam. So immediately it's not even in your consciousness. This is why Raghunath Das Goswami in the 7th shlok of Manasiksha described this Pratishta Ashta Drash. Swapacha Ramani Ridi Menatet. He described like an outcast or audacious prostitute which is dancing in the heart. So I've spoken before that the reason he uses this terminology is because if anyone is doing bhajan seva, then they're very cautious to guard against offense, unwanted things, anarthas, and so forth. So how is it possible that such a thing could enter the heart? Because even though it is audacious, outcast, and drash means very bold, it is also very subtle. And that means it has the ability to penetrate the heart and even dance in the heart and not be known to the practitioner or aspirant. So to protect against exposing our bhajan to that environment, all bhajan sadhan is kept gupt. If you want to make a point about the importance and efficacy of chanting 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs of Harinam, then you could make that point by all the examples from Haridas Thakur to our Guru Pada Padma. But when you include I am chanting, then it would be indicated actually by your statements regarding the importance that either you are doing that or you see it important enough to try to do that, or so there's indication in the kata itself and the example cited that it is something in your purview. When you state I am chanting, two things come up. One again is the space that ahamkara will jump into as soon as you say I am chanting. Because in the unfolding stage of bhakti, unless we are siddha, then Atahashi Krishna Namadi Namavad Graham Indriyar. We don't have any capacity to be the kartatva doer in regards to performance of sadhan bhajan. Rather, our sadhan bhajan is the subsidized position. In other words, we are subsidized by the kripa of Shri Guru and Parampara. So by Shri Guru's mercy and Parampara's mercy, ultimately the mercy of Mahaprabhu, Shri Radha Krishna, then we're able to have an attitude of service. The attitude of service is manifest in the execution of various angas of bhajan life. Shravan, Kirtan, Smaran, Pada Sevanam, Archan, Bandham, etc. So those elements, when we attempt the attitude of service, beginning with Saranagati, just as Prahalad Maharaj mentioned, after mentioning the 9 angas of bhakti, he said, Itipum Saprikta Vishnu Bhaktaschin Navalakshan. To perform these 9 angas, one has to do Itipum Saprikta Vishnu, means Saranagati, offering oneself. So in that aspirational stage, we see everything is only the subsidy of Kripa, coming from Guru and Parampara to Mahaprabhu to Radha Krishna. That I am not chanting 1 lakh of Harinam. If I have the Kripa to perform the attitude of service towards Harinam, and it manifests as 1 lakh, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs, then that is the Kripa of Sri Guru. So I am not chanting 1 lakh of Harinam. This is one thing to be considered in the conversation. 2 is that the numerical strength of Harinam is to assist us in coming to the point, because Srila Gurudev also mentioned many times the example of Haridas Thakur and Srila Rupa Goswami Pad. He mentioned that Srila Haridas Thakur, of course, was chanting 3 lakhs Harinam daily. He's Nam Nishta Rup. He's the very embodiment of Nishta and Harinam. But he mentioned our Srila Rupa Goswami Pad, and we are called Rupa Nuga, that our Rupa Goswami Pad, he would begin chanting Ha, and when he would say Ha, which is only 1 akshar, 1 letter of the holy name, then complete absorption would come in the Rup, Gun, Parikar, and Lila of Bhagavan. So our actual mood of service is to obtain that state of absorption. That even in 1 letter of Harinam, I don't know whether I've completed 1 lakh or not. This is the mood. So we will not become absorbed in I am chanting 1 lakh. I mentioned many reasons why we will not go that track. But, and this is just, again, cushion. It is not any criticism or order or anything, because I have no capacity for such things. Right? I cannot give order what should be done, what should not be done. I'm saying what is the cushion. In other words, that place where you can go to take vichar, consideration, a soft place, because I'm saying with love and affection. So like a cushion, it is a soft place to take some consideration of what's being said, right? Because sometimes bhajan sadhan can also give very harsh realities. In other words, it can put us in a position where we learn a lesson from a very hard point of view. So that's not what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to create a cushioned environment to learn 1 point. So if we will digest this idea that I will not reveal my bhajan, because I can cite the importance of 1 lakh of Harinam as part of the process of sadhana by citing the statements and the examples. My own chanting of it or not will not come in, because in my consciousness, if I'm truly chanting 1 lakh of Harinam, then that means there should be some depth of ruchi for Nam and Harikatha, and in having that, it means there must also be, to some degree, the deeper mood of Saranagati, Atmanikshep Karpanya, which means that humility or some more influence of Dhanya Bhav, the actual spiritual mood of humility, should be becoming more prominent in my heart. And therefore, I will consider, like Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Ekaki Amar Nahi Pai Bhav Harinama Sankirtane, even though I have Harinam, I feel I have no spiritual strength to chant it. Krishna Shaitumar, Krishna Dati Paratomara Sakatiachi, O Vaishnav Thakur. Therefore I'm running after you. Amitu Kangal Krishna Krishna Boli Daya Tava Pache Pache. So this mood will come in the heart prominently. So in this way, both according to the instruction in Hari Bhakti Vilas, that one should not reveal one's jap or one's bhajan sadhan in other ways, means the mantra, of course here it may mean the spiritual name of one's Guru Dev, because in doing Hari Katha Seva, one naturally will offer obeisances to Sri Guru, and his name will, or her name will be mentioned. So, and also one's Ishtadev. All these things should be kept gupt in the heart. You understand? By Hari Katha, the preachings of our Guru Vargas, everything is present there. So all persons can take instruction from the indications of the Hari Katha given. And in this way, the own sense of humility can be maintained, because there's no need for anyone to know if I'm chanting 1 lakh or 1 letter. This is why I put this title in the video. 1 lakh or 1 letter. My aspiration is to chant with such high quality of devotional mood. 1 letter will be like many, many lakhs of Harinam. Understand? Just by reciting 2 syllables of Rupa Goswami told, Krishna, no one can understand how much Amrit, nectar, is in these 2 syllables. It makes that I should want millions of tongues and millions of ears. It arrests all of my senses. This chanting is what I want. This chanting should be the mood of the aspirant. If I'm chanting 1, 2, 3, 4 lakhs of Harinam in pursuit of that, that is my personal sadhan bhajan. And unless I'm receiving bhajan siksha from someone, that endeavor need not be known to others. Understand? So even if you are giving instruction from the basis of our Guru Vargas about the importance of following the order of Guru to chant 1 lakh, that statements are sufficient. Or Guru Deva has said, Mahaprabhu has said, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has said, I am doing or not is not a necessity for the world to know. Obviously, if you're presenting the importance of it, we will hope that a person is following that. And in quite honest terms, all devotees I've met of my Guru Pada Padma, in their sadhan bhajan are chanting 1 lakh Harinam. They don't have to verbalize. You'll see in their Harikatha, if you're in their association, you'll see literally their practice throughout the day, so you'll see it. So there's no need to verbalize, because if you do that, as I mentioned, then ahamkara, I, or my, right? That will naturally come into that space that you create by the I and myness of your speaking. Whereas when you speak in relation to our Guru Vargas, or in relation to example given by Mahaprabhu himself, then the point is made, but the danger of the subtlety of anarthas, matsarya, or non-malicious envy even, or malicious envy, or pratishta asha, the very subtle influence of pratishta described by Raghunath Das Goswami, has no chance to come into our bhajan space. Therefore, my Guru Dev, he commissioned and described and even posed for one painting called Seva Kunj. And he told, I am all over the world, not creating any new buildings or new temples. I'm creating in every place I go, heart temples, Hridoya Mandir. In those Hridoya Mandir, a person can do their bhajan in a very, very deep mood. So one need not try to expose or give darshan to the Hridoya Mandir. Only to your Seva to Takaji in your home mandir, you can give darshan. It's a very beautiful thing. This will come in the category of the dati pratagrinati guya makyati prichite bhunkte bhojayate chaiva sadviram priti lakshanam. It will come in the exchange of priti between Vaishnavas. So it may be said that isn't revealing my bhajan sadhan, my stav stuti, how many rounds I chant, isn't that guya makyati prichiti? But the guya makyati prichiti is also according to a certain structure. I will do guya makyati prichiti according to the nature of whom I'm speaking to. If I'm speaking to any very dear friend, right, I will speak, oh, I have heard from Guru Parapadma this thing or that thing. I will never mention my own sadhan bhajan. If I'm speaking to my Shiksha Gurus, I may mention, oh, in doing Harinam of this number, I'm trying to get this, or I'm trying to understand this. And then they may give correction. Oh, yes, you can increase this Harinam. Or more, your meditation and your dhyan in the Nam, combined with your understanding from Harikatha, there should be more synthesis of this. Because we're not, as Srila, I think it was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur mentioned, pulling rope. So pulling rope means I'm just pulling the beads one after another, pull one counter bead up. So Of course, I'm not giving any indication that someone is doing like that. I'm saying just to stay from the mindset of numbers. Like I gave one talk the other day about how we do Vrat. And in the Purushottam Mass, because it's coming Chaturmas, there was so much confusion. Well, we stopped green leafy vegetables for 2 weeks, but continue after Chatur. So all these different things. And so I mentioned the nature of a Vrat during Chaturmas, Kartik Mas, etc. is meant to strengthen the essential elements of Bhakti Sadhan. Nam Kirtan, Sadhu Sangha, Bhagavad Shravan, the meditation on Maturabhas, and Shri Murtai Shraddhai Sevan. Doing service to the Thakurji that may be in our home. All of Vrat is meant to do that. The Vrat is not meant to figure out what seed, what this, what that. What is listed, what's been given by our Guru Parapadma, simple following of that thing with absorption in the mood of deepening our Bhajan Sadhan. Right? Not that one seed or one leaf will destroy your Bhajan. But perhaps bhajan can be destroyed by observing someone else and looking, oh, you ate a leaf. You had a seed, a forbidden seed. Oh. So don't do bhajan like this. Similarly, don't do bhajan. Everyone who's chanting 1 lakh, who's not chanting 1 lakh. If you're chanting 1, 2, 3, 4 lakh, do so peacefully in bhajan life, keeping in the Hridaya Mandir. Do so much Harikatha. Because Harikatha is the Swarup of Harinam. People hearing the sweetness of that Harikatha, they'll become inspired. Automatically, people will increase their numerical attachment to Harinam organically. No need for imposing rule and regulation. Our Guru Parapadma is given. So follow that and encourage others by the example of what it has produced in your own Sadhan Bhajan life. And that will come out in your Harikatha. Alright, so this is meant to be very, very short. And hopefully it made a point. Also for me, the reason I'm also doing is because for me now also it's a little tedious and difficult typing back and forth and all these things like that. So it's always been easier for me, which is why I switched to this format for either answering questions or dealing with topics in general. Alright, my Dandavat Pranam. Jai Radhe Radhe.